Okay, so we're in front of Aldi, and we're gonna teach you something interesting today. We're gonna go to the frozen food section, and we're gonna take a look particularly at frozen beef and frozen turkey, because I wanna teach you how to shop frozen meats, because yes, they are more affordable, but there's a couple very imperative things that you need to know. And rather than do this in my kitchen set where I can just explain things, I wanna be able to show you firsthand. So Aldi is usually pretty cool about filming, so we'll go in there, hopefully we don't get kicked out. We might expand a little bit more into some more of their frozen foods, but really I wanna focus on the beef and the turkey. So let's head on in and let's go have some fun and learn how to shop keto the clean way with inexpensive frozen meats. All right, we're shopping frozen foods only at Aldi really quick. Let's go ahead and break down what they've got. It's gonna be kind of interesting. So Aldi is cool. I've done lots of videos with Aldi. I did a full-scale Aldi Keto, clean keto haul that's just crushing with tons and tons and tons of views. So I'll link it down below in the description. That way you can check it out if you want to see my full clean keto on a budget Aldi haul. But there's been a lot of demand, people wanting to know, well, what's good specifically in the frozen section and how much can we really get away with on keto? And this is going to be keto specific. So we're not going to go just overall health. We're going to go very keto specific, and we're going to talk about like things you should be avoiding, but things that I think are really interesting in the frozen food section, because there's a lot of knowledge that can be dropped when it comes to frozen foods. Most people think that frozen foods are an unhealthy option. The fact is, believe it or not, frozen foods are oftentimes a healthier option because nutrients are preserved. Things are flash frozen, vegetables are flash frozen. It just makes it so you're actually not having to go through this oxidation process that you normally occur. So I do want to make sure that you go ahead and you hit that red subscribe button, then go ahead and hit that bell icon so you can turn on notifications. Also wanted to give a big shout out to my friends over at Superfat. So if you're trying to get like a good quality almond butter that tastes good, these guys have got an awesome product. So they've got almond butter that's mixed with like nitro coffee in a little squeeze pack. It's amazing. So you got coffee almond butter, but it's legit nitro cold brew coffee. So if you're doing keto, anything like that, it's a great little thing to try out. So I put a link for them down below in the description. That way you can check them out after you watch this video, because you're definitely gonna not wanna miss out. It's interesting stuff. I can't really even explain it. Just the fact of coffee, and anyhow, make sure you check them out in the description. Okay, we're gonna check out the meat department first in terms of frozen, beef, poultry, fish. I know this might not be the most exciting, but we need to evaluate it. So stick with me. If you need to see anything else, you can always skip ahead, but prefer that we just rock and roll. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna look at is their beef. So we got this Black Angus one. Let's see. Actually, off to a good start. Okay, so this isn't grass-fed, grass-finished, which you're really not going to find in a frozen section anywhere. But if you get for the one that has the bacon, the cheddar, and the cheese, look at the ingredients on that. Okay, Black Angus ground beef, straight up, versus Black Angus ground beef, and then cheddar cheese, which is a bunch of stuff. But look at all that. God, APO, carotenoid, baking, it's a mess. Okay, we probably even have some, surprisingly, no monosodium glutamate. But essentially, we have to remember the FDA, even though it does say grass-fed, it just means that at some point in time, it ate grass. So you're probably not gonna find frozen grass-fed, grass-finished, but this one's actually pretty good. You just wanna make sure you go for the unseasoned version. Don't get this bacon one. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back so we can keep on rolling. I think this is kind of funny. So, I mean, if you're going bang for the buck, I think you're still gonna be better off $6.35 for 6 beef patties, or you've got, let's see, $3.30 per pound, $3.20 per pound. So you're cheaper per pound to get that stuff. And then this one is just probably really low quality. It's probably, let's see, we've got, just ingredient is beef, but at least here, I don't know, actually, it's hard to tell. Let's see what else we got. Okay, something really good to know when you're shopping frozen beef. 27% fat, 73% lean. That's a very high fat content. Now, what we want to be paying attention to with shopping ground frozen meat is that the fat content is going to dictate a lot of just the variance and the, how do I put this? You're gonna have more risk the higher fat content you go, because The protein is the simple part of this. Where things get complex is the fat. So the lesser the fat content, the more potential for unhealthy, poor quality fats. So when you have 73% lean, you know it's pretty high fat, which means you've got a lot of potential variables and a lot of variance with the fat. So I always try to say, when shopping frozen beef, it's already going to be typically the bottom of the barrel with beef. Go for the leaner cuts whenever you can. So in this case, these are 73%. These are 25%. These don't say, but I can tell by the fat content being 36 grams per one patty. Compare that to, yeah, this is gonna be about the same, about 25% fat. Okay, I did notice, wow, believe it or not, this one's the leanest. So even though it's 100% pure beef, even though it's unsightly, it's the leanest, and this actually might be the best. So it's the least variables, it's the least mystery. So that would be the one that I'd get. Same kind of thing with turkey burgers. With frozen turkey, it's even more sketchy because the fatty acid profile is really bad in turkey to begin with. So when you're getting a higher fat content turkey patty, you're really running a lot of risk. So think of it like this. If you go get fresh turkey, fresh ground turkey, you're gonna have a leaner, lesser amount of fat. What that means is you have, yeah.
You guys can't be recording in here.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. We'll just have to try this one another time. It's all good. Probably because we couldn't get a cart, to be honest. Oh. Walk of shame. Right, so unfortunately we got asked to leave, but the whole purpose of this was to get as much information as we possibly could. And it kind of got cut off there when I was talking about the turkeys and talking about the fat content of the turkey. So let me just wrap that up, and then that way we can get you on your merry way. Keep this a nice, short, sweet, simple video, and we'll do another full-on frozen grocery haul at some other point. So with ground turkey and ground chicken, it's a worse fatty acid profile than beef. With beef, it's a little bit easier to determine the quality of the fat. It's pretty point blank. It's either grass-fed, grass-finished, and high-quality omega-3, or it's going to be relatively low-quality omega-6, but not as terrible as you might see with poultry. So if you consume poultry, then getting it in the frozen department, you're going to have a higher fat content of poultry, which means you're going to have a higher amount of the really bad fats that are in chicken fat and turkey fat. Now, when I say really bad fats, I don't mean that the fats are terrible for you. I mean that they're worse than beef. The fatty acid profile of beef is better than the fatty acid profile of turkey. Fatty acids from beef, you're gonna have more in the way of, quite honestly, good saturated fats that are good for you. And you're also gonna have a good amount of the monounsaturated fats and the stearic acid and things like that that are really good for overall, believe it or not, arterial health, nerve health, brain health. Okay, but with turkey, chicken, you're getting a lot more in the way of these unsaturated fats that are very high omega-6, very inflammatory. So anyway, just wanted to break this down and give you a little bit more of some closure based on what we talked about here. So I do highly recommend that you check out what Aldi's got there. They have a decent frozen selection for a really good price. It's unfortunate that we got kicked out, or asked to not film. I shouldn't say we got kicked out, because they're a great store and I highly recommend shopping there, and they're everywhere. All right, because we got kicked out of Aldi, I didn't have a chance to mention one thing that I wanted to mention. So you always want to go for companies that have this on their label. No antibiotics ever, okay? Here's the thing. They can say antibiotic free, they can say no antibiotics, they can even say hormone free or no hormones, as long as they haven't been fed antibiotics or hormones in the last 30 days. So you always want things that say no antibiotics or no hormones ever. Word to the wise, you will hardly ever find poultry that has had no hormones ever. They almost always give poultry hormones. That's why even on this label right here, it says no antibiotics ever, but it doesn't say no hormones ever. So it's just important to know. But I will say, like, look at the ingredient profile of this: turkey, salt, and rosemary extract. 3 ingredients, not bad for frozen. It just kind of goes on to prove the point that frozen food and frozen meat is oftentimes a cleaner way to go because of the other things that have to get put into fresh to keep it fresh. So anyhow, I hope that cleared that little point up. I'll see you soon. So as always, please do make sure you keep it locked in here on my channel. And if you have ideas for other segments that you'd like to see, please do let me know. Put them down in the comment section and we'll rock and roll. See you soon.